Welcome. You've arrived at a place where nothing is required of you. No tasks to complete, no problems to solve, no one to be but yourself, exactly as you are in this moment. Tonight, you are invited to rest beside the river, to feel the coolness of morning air, to hear the water moving over smooth stones, to let stillness find you, the way dawn finds the valley slowly, gently, without force. Let your body settle now. Let your weight sink into the surface beneath you. Let your breath move in its own rhythm, like the rise and fall of water. There is no hurry here. There is no destination. There is only this, the soft unfolding of stories that come from riversides and fishermen, from monks who learned to sit without moving, from people who discovered that stillness is not the absence of life, it is life, observed without interference. So, close your eyes. Feel the quietness around you. Feel the quietness inside you. And let the first story begin, where a young man stands by the water and learns what it means to stop. There was once a young man named Jiro who lived in a village beside a wide, slow river. The village was small and peaceful. The houses had thatched roofs and paper walls. The fields stretched green and gold in every direction. But Jiro himself was never at peace. He was a farmer's son, expected to tend the rice fields as his father had, and his father's father before him. But Jiro did not want to be a farmer. He wanted to travel. He wanted to see mountains and cities and oceans. He wanted his life to be large and full of meaning. So he worked the fields each day with resentment in his chest. His hands moved, but his mind was elsewhere. His body bent over the soil, but his heart was already gone. One morning, as he stood at the edge of the river washing mud from his hands, an old monk appeared beside him. The monk was thin and bent, with a face weathered by sun and wind. He carried nothing but a walking stick and a small cloth bag. He sat down on the riverbank and looked out at the water. Jiro glanced at him but said nothing. After a long silence, the monk spoke. "The river is very still today." Jiro looked at the water. It was moving, as it always did, flowing steadily downstream. "It's not still," he said. "It's moving." The monk smiled. "Yes, it is moving, and yet it is still." Jiro frowned. "That doesn't make sense, doesn't it?" The monk gestured toward the water. "Look closely. What do you see?" Jiro looked. The surface of the river was smooth, almost like glass. The current was constant, unhurried, flowing in one direction without struggle. "I see water," Jiro said. "Yes," the monk replied. "Water that moves but does not hurry. Water that flows but does not resist. Water that is constantly in motion and yet perfectly at peace." Jiro said nothing. The monk turned to look at him. His eyes were kind. "You are not at peace, are you?" Jiro's jaw tightened. "No." "Why not?" "Because I am trapped," Jiro said. "I am stuck in this village, doing work I do not want to do, living a life I did not choose." The monk nodded slowly. "I see. And where would you go if you could?" "Anywhere," Jiro said. "Everywhere. I would see the world. I would find a life that means something." The monk was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "And do you think the world is waiting for you somewhere else?" Jiro blinked. "What do you mean?" "I mean," the monk said, "that the world is here, right now, in this village, in this river, in the mud on your hands." Jiro shook his head. "You don't understand. This place is small. It is nothing." "Perhaps," the monk said, "or perhaps you have not yet learned to see it." He stood, brushing dust from his robes. "I will be sitting by the river at dawn tomorrow. If you wish, you may join me." And before Jiro could respond, the monk walked away, his stick tapping softly on the path. That night, Jiro could not sleep. He thought about the monk's words. He thought about the river, moving and still at the same time. He did not understand, but when the sky began to lighten, he found himself walking to the riverbank. The monk was already there, sitting on a flat stone, facing the water. Jiro sat beside him. "What are we doing?" "Sitting," the monk said. "That's all?" "That's all." Jiro sat. He looked at the water. He listened to the sound of it moving over stones. He felt the cool air on his skin. Minutes passed. His mind began to wander. He thought about the fields, about the work waiting for him, about all the places he was not. "Your mind is very loud," the monk said quietly. Jiro exhaled. "I can't make it stop." "You don't need to make it stop," the monk said. "You only need to stop following it." Jiro looked at him. "How?" "By returning to the river," the monk said. "Every time your mind leaves, bring it back. Look at the water. Listen to the sound. Feel the air." Jiro tried. His mind wandered again. He brought it back. It wandered. He brought it back. Again, and again, and again. And slowly, something began to shift. The noise in his mind grew quieter. Not silent, but softer. He noticed things he had never noticed before. The way the light touched the water, the sound of a bird calling from across the river, the coolness of the stone beneath him. He did not think about the fields. He did not think about leaving. He simply sat. And for the first time in as long as he could remember, he felt still. When the sun rose fully above the trees, the monk stood. "That is enough for today." Jiro stood as well. He felt strange, lighter, somehow. "Will you come again tomorrow?" the monk asked. Jiro hesitated. Then he nodded, yes, and so he did. Every morning, before the village woke, Jiro sat by the river with the monk. He learned to watch the water without needing it to be different. He learned to hear the birds without chasing their songs. He learned to sit in stillness without waiting for stillness to end. Weeks passed, then months. One morning, the monk did not come. Jiro waited, but the old man did not appear. He returned the next morning, and the next, but the monk was gone. Jiro never saw him again, but he continued to sit by the river every morning, and slowly, the resentment in his chest began to dissolve. He still worked the fields, he still lived in the village, but he was no longer trapped, because he had learned that stillness was not a place. It was not something that happened when life finally became what he wanted it to be. It was something that existed right here, right now, in the movement of the river, in the sound of the water, in the simple act of being present. And that, he realized, was enough. And somewhere upstream, where the river bends and the reeds grow tall, another story begins. There was once a fisherman named Ichiro who lived in a small house at the edge of the river. He was old, with white hair and hands gnarled from years of pulling nets and mending lines. Every morning, before the sun rose, he took his boat out onto the water. He rowed slowly, without hurry, to a place where the river deepened and the fish gathered in the cool shadows. He fished not for profit, but for peace. He caught only what he needed enough to feed himself, and sometimes a neighbor or two. The other fishermen in the village thought he was strange. They fished with urgency, casting wide nets, competing to see who could catch the most. They worked long hours and returned home exhausted, but Ichiro fished with stillness. He cast his line and waited. He did not worry about the fish that did not bite. He did not curse the river when it gave him nothing. He simply sat in his boat, watching the water, listening to the morning. One day, a young fisherman named Daiki approached him. Daiki was ambitious and restless, always looking for ways to catch more fish, to earn more money, to prove himself. "Old man," Daiki said, "I have been watching you. You fish every day, but you catch very little. Why do you not use a larger net? Why do you not fish longer hours?" Ichiro smiled. "Because I do not need more fish than I catch." Daiki frowned. "But you could earn more. You could sell what you catch. You could have a better life." "Could I?" Ichiro asked. "Of course," Daiki said. "With more money, you could buy a larger boat. You could hire helpers. You could catch even more fish." "And then?" Ichiro asked. "Then you could open a business. You could become wealthy." "And then?" Daiki hesitated. Then you could retire. You could spend your days doing whatever you want." Ichiro's smile deepened. "And what do you think I would do?" Daiki thought for a moment. "I suppose you would. Fish." "Yes," Ichiro said quietly. "I would fish, just as I do now, in a small boat, on a quiet river, catching only what I need." Daiki opened his mouth to respond, but no words came. Ichiro gestured to the empty seat in his boat. "Would you like to come with me tomorrow morning? I will show you how I fish." Daiki, curious despite himself, agreed. The next morning, before dawn, Daiki met Ichiro at the riverbank. They climbed into the small boat, and Ichiro rowed out into the center of the river. The sky was still dark, but the first light was beginning to touch the horizon. The water was smooth and silver, like polished metal. Ichiro stopped rowing. He set down the oars. He cast his line, and then he sat. Daiki waited for him to do something more, but Ichiro simply sat, his eyes on the water, his breath slow and even. Minutes passed. Daiki shifted uncomfortably. "Should we do something?" "We are doing something," Ichiro said. "We are fishing, but nothing is happening." "Many things are happening," Ichiro replied. "The sun is rising, the water is moving, the birds are waking. You are simply not paying attention." Daiki fell silent. He tried to pay attention, but his mind raced. He thought about all the fish he could be catching, all the money he could be earning. More time passed. Then, suddenly, Ichiro's line twitched. He pulled gently, and a fish emerged from the water, small, silver, its scales shimmering in the early light. Ichiro unhooked it carefully and placed it in a basket. Then he cast his line again. "Is that all?" Daiki asked. "That is enough," Ichiro said. They sat in silence. The sun rose higher. The river turned gold. Daiki found, to his surprise, that his mind was growing quieter. The urgency in his chest was fading. He began to notice things: the way the light moved on the water, the sound of the current, the coolness of the morning air. He took a deep breath, and for the first time in a long time, he felt at peace. When they returned to shore, Daiki helped Ichiro pull the boat onto the bank. "Thank you," Daiki said. Ichiro nodded. "You are welcome." "I think I understand now," Daiki said. "It is not about the fish." "No," Ichiro agreed. "It is not about the fish. It is about the fishing. It is about being here. It is about stillness." Daiki bowed. "Will you teach me?" Ichiro smiled. "I already have." And from that day on, Daiki fished differently. He no longer hurried. He no longer competed. He cast his line and waited. He watched the water. He listened to the mourning, and he learned, as Ichiro had, that the richest life is not the one that gathers the most. It is the one that knows when enough is enough, and where the river meets the edge of the village, another tale waits. There was once a woman named Ayame who lived alone in a small house beside the river. She was a tea maker, known for the clarity and purity of her brews. People came from distant villages to taste her tea, which was said to be unlike any other. But Ayame did not consider herself special. She simply did what she had always done. She gathered water from the river each morning. She heated it slowly. She measured the leaves with care. She poured with attention. One day, a traveling scholar came to her door. He was young and proud, dressed in fine robes, carrying books and scrolls. "I have heard of your tea," he said. "I would like to taste it." Ayame bowed and invited him inside. She prepared the tea as she always did. She heated the water. She measured the leaves. She poured with attention. The scholar drank. He set down the cup. He frowned. "It is good," he said, "but I do not understand. What makes it special?" Ayame smiled. "Nothing." The scholar looked confused. "Nothing? But people say your tea is the best they have ever tasted." "Perhaps," Ayame said, "but I do not do anything special. I simply make tea." The scholar shook his head. "There must be a secret, a technique, something you do that others do not." Ayame refilled his cup. "When I make tea," she said, "I make tea. I do not think about the tea I made yesterday. I do not worry about the tea I will make tomorrow. I simply make this tea in this moment." The scholar sipped again. He considered her words. "So the secret is presence?" he asked. "There is no secret," Ayame said gently. "There is only attention." The scholar stayed for an hour. He drank 3 cups. He asked many questions, but Ayame's answers were always the same. When she made tea, she made tea. When she gathered water, she gathered water. When she sat, she sat. Before he left, the scholar bowed deeply. "Thank you. I think I have learned something." "What have you learned?" Ayame asked. The scholar paused. "That I have been searching for something I already have. I already have. Burn the festive vine. They summon the am I." Ayame smiled. "Yes." After he was gone, Ayame cleaned the cups. She swept the floor. She sat by the window and watched the river. The water moved slowly, without hurry, flowing in one direction. She felt the stillness inside herself. Not the stillness of emptiness, but the stillness of fullness. The stillness of being exactly where she was, doing exactly what she was doing. And in that stillness, there was everything. And now, as the morning deepens and the mist rises from the water, one more story unfolds. There was once a young monk named Kenshin who lived in a riverside monastery. He was earnest and hardworking, eager to become enlightened. He meditated for hours each day. He studied the sutras. He asked his teacher endless questions. But the more he tried, the more frustrated he became. He could not quiet his mind. He could not find the peace that the old monks seemed to carry so easily. One day, his teacher gave him a task. "Kenshin," the teacher said, "I want you to go to the river, sit by the water, do nothing, return when the sun sets." Kenshin bowed. "Yes, teacher." He walked to the river, found a flat stone, and sat down. He closed his eyes. He tried to meditate, but his mind was loud. Thoughts chased each other in circles. Worries, doubts, questions. He opened his eyes and sighed. He looked at the water. It moved steadily, without effort, flowing around rocks and branches, always finding its way. He watched for a long time. He noticed how the river did not struggle. It did not push, it simply flowed. When it met an obstacle, it moved around it. When the path narrowed, it deepened. When the path widened, it spread. It was never still, but it was never hurried. Kenshin sat with this for hours. As the sun began to set, he realized something. He had been trying to force stillness. He had been trying to make his mind stop. But the river did not stop. It moved, and yet it was at peace. He returned to the monastery as the last light faded. His teacher was waiting. "What did you learn?" Kenshin hesitated. "I learned that stillness is not about stopping. It is about flowing without resistance." The teacher smiled. "Yes, but teacher," Kenshin said, "how do I do that?" The teacher stood. "You return to the river tomorrow, and the next day, and the day after that. You watch, you listen, and slowly you will stop trying. And when you stop trying, you will understand." So Kenshin returned to the river every day. He did not meditate. He did not study. He simply sat and watched the water. Weeks passed, and one morning, as he sat on the stone, something inside him let go. He did not try to let go. It simply happened. His mind grew quiet, not silent, but soft, like the sound of water over stones. He felt the stillness, not as something he had achieved, but as something that had always been there, beneath the noise, waiting. He smiled, and the river continued to flow. And now, the day has passed. The sun has moved across the sky and dipped below the horizon. The river flows on, as it always has, as it always will. You have sat beside the water with fishermen and tea makers, with young men searching for peace and monks learning to let go. You have seen what the river teaches, that stillness is not the absence of movement. It is movement without struggle. It is presence without resistance. And now, it is time to let these stories dissolve, like mist rising from the water. Let your body sink deeper. Let your breath slow. Let your thoughts drift away, like leaves carried downstream. You do not need to hold on to anything. Not these stories, not the day, not the noise in your mind. You can simply be still, not the stillness of effort, the stillness of rest, the stillness of water flowing in the dark. So close your eyes now. Feel the coolness of night. Feel the quiet all around you, and let yourself fall gently, softly, into deep and dreamless sleep. Good night.